What's going on, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz. In today's video, I'm going to be going through the top 50 best Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go in 2022. Now, before we jump into the featured Pokemon, there are a few things that I would like to go over. First of all, there are over 750 Pokemon currently available in Pokemon Go, and the meta has changed quite a bit since the beginning of 2021. So this list is primarily going to be focused on raid/gym attackers only, and I will be making a separate video going over PvP attackers in the future for each respective league. Now, on top of that, we also have Shadow Pokemon, which were factored into this list to determine the meta relevance and power potential for most of these Pokemon, but I'm also going to be covering this in a separate video as well, just because we don't have time to go over every single one of those Pokemon. But with that being said, we are going to include Mega Pokemon in this list. Now, for those of you who are a little bit unfamiliar in terms of how Mega Pokemon work, they are going to require Mega Energy to evolve, and they are going to be in a temporary boosted state for 8 hours. You can also only have one Mega Pokemon evolved at a single time. If you decide to evolve another Mega Pokemon, the current Mega Pokemon is going to go back to its regular version. Now, with that being said, there's definitely been a lot of changes to the Mega system since its original launch, which really wasn't all that great. So one of the biggest upsides is that once you actually Mega Evolve a Pokemon once, the cost to evolve it in terms of Mega Energy is going to go down 80%, which is actually massive. So for example, a Mega Charizard is going to cost 200 Mega Energy to evolve the very first time, but after you evolve that Mega Charizard once, it is going to go down to 40 Mega Energy to evolve, which is significantly better. Not to mention, on top of the reduced cost, after you evolve that Mega Pokemon once, you can then walk with it as your buddy to also earn Mega Energy. This is going to be the most effective way to get Mega Energy in-game without actually having to spend money. I mean, you could do the research tasks, but this is definitely a lot easier. So following that, I also want to clarify that this list is going to focus in on the best Pokemon to power up in-game, and you might not be able to find many of them on a regular basis, but you will likely see them rotated in throughout events in 2022. Now, with that being said though, as requested from last year's video, I've added plenty of honorable mention Pokemon in this video to give you guys some flexibility, and I'm also going to be updating my budget list video from last year in the next few weeks. That's going to be a great place to start if you're actually newer to the game and you don't have that many Pokemon, so I definitely recommend watching the previous year's video and then watching the upcoming video for 2022. So following that, I also want to mention that we're going to be setting the baseline of power-ups at level 30 in this video, which is going to be 90% of a Pokemon's maximum potential up to level 40. I consider anything above level 40 more like over-leveling, so in terms of the level 40 cap, it's going to be 90%. Now, considering I get asked this question so often, I'm just going to go over what exactly is a level 30 Pokemon really quick. So basically, to just put in a simple example, a level 20 Pokemon is going to require 2,500 Stardust to power up, a level 25 Pokemon is going to require 4,000 Stardust to power up, level 30 is going to be 5,000 Stardust, and then level 35 is going to be 8,000 Stardust. Now, on top of that, I'm also going to recommend to build a team of 6 of each respective typing, and you can combine a variety of Pokemon from my best list, shadow list, budget list to do this. And then after you built your baseline of 6 Pokemon at level 30, I would then start to slowly power up those Pokemon from the best list, for example like Reshiram, to level 35 and eventually to level 40. One thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is that power creeps are definitely inevitable. There's still a lot of Pokemon that haven't been released in-game, and we are definitely going to see shifts in the meta in the future. Not to mention, Shadow Pokemon are going to ultimately be released in-game as well, which we're going to talk about in the Shadow video, but some Shadow Pokemon at level 30 are going to be more powerful than some normal Pokemon at level 40. So yeah, I mean, certain Shadow investments are actually going to be better than just a normal investment. Now, with that being said though, certain Pokemon like Reshiram are just going to hold their value so much better than some of the other Pokemon because they are just miles above everything else. Like, Reshiram is so much better than literally every other option you can get in-game outside of like Shadow Moltres and Shadow Entei currently. So on that note, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, well, are we going to cover level 50 Pokemon in this video? And the answer is, unfortunately, no. We're going to cover that in a separate video. Mainly because I know a lot of you guys aren't actually level 40 or above yet, and you can't actually get extra large candy until you hit level 40, which is a requirement to power up Pokemon past level 40 to level 50. So considering that it's more of a niche topic, I'm going to save that for a separate video, but don't worry, we're going to cover that in detail as well. Now finally, the last thing that I want to go over is how we're going to be measuring power potential. So I'm going to be using the DPS times TDO metric without any boost, so no friendship boost or no weather boost. And DPS times TDO stands for damage per second times total damage output. In my opinion, I feel like this is the best representation of a Pokemon's total power, rather than just DPS or rather than just TDO. So that's kind of why we're doing this. And if you guys are curious about any of this information, you guys can find everything available on the Game Press website. Although in the upcoming year, there are definitely going to be shifts to the meta, so not everything is going to stay the same as we're talking about it right now. But if you would like to stay informed on which Pokemon are going to be available and relevant throughout various events that we're going to be getting throughout 2022, I highly recommend clicking that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell notification. That way you always get notified when I upload new videos. Now for your convenience, I've also gone ahead and added timestamps on the video itself, so you guys can feel free to skip around as you deem necessary. But if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know in the comment section down below. I do my best to respond as soon as possible. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to get through in this one. So our first category in this video is going to be Fire-type Pokemon. So the number one Fire-type Pokemon that you guys can invest into is going to be Mega Charizard Y. I know, kind of weird that we're starting with a Mega Pokemon. So yeah, Charizard will Mega Evolve into Mega Charizard Y. You actually have the option between Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard X is a Dragon and Fire type, and Mega Charizard Y is a Flying and Fire type. Mega Charizard Y should always be the go-to if you want to focus in on a Fire type attacker though. The downside to Mega Charizard Y is that you're going to need the exclusive moveset Blast Burn, which you are going to have to use an Elite Charge TM to get. But let me tell you this right now, it is easily worth the investment. I actually used one myself to get my Hundo Charizard with Blast Burn, and then I powered it up to level 50, and my god, it is such a beast. So ideally on Mega Charizard Y, you want to have Fire Spin plus Blast Burn. This is definitely the best Fire-type Pokemon you guys can have in your lineup, but in terms of Mega Pokemon, you can only have one Mega Pokemon in your lineup of 6, so what else do we have here, right? So the next Pokemon is going to be Reshiram, which is miles above its competition. I mean, like, seriously guys, a Reshiram at level 30 is going to be more powerful than every other Fire type in-game non-Shadow at level 40. That definitely says a lot right there. So yeah, Reshiram is going to be the go-to in terms of Fire-type Pokemon. We just recently had it come back into rotation during the first 2 weeks of December, I believe, so hopefully you were able to get a few. If you weren't able to get some, that's okay. Now ideally the best moveset for Reshiram is going to be Fire Fang plus Overheat. The next Pokemon that we're going to talk about right now is more just if you guys don't want to actually invest the Elite Charge TM into Mega Charizard Y, which I still would recommend doing it, but let's just say that you don't have any Elite Charge TMs currently available. Mega Houndoom is also going to be an excellent choice in terms of a Mega Pokemon for the Fire-type category. Fire Fang plus Flamethrower is going to be the ideal moveset, and there's no exclusive moveset, so that's kind of nice as well. This Pokemon definitely does seem to make its way into the Mega rotations quite often as well, so it might be a little bit more accessible for some of you. So those are going to be the best Fire-type Pokemon to invest into. I know we only mentioned one that was a non-Mega, but literally guys, like Reshiram at level 30 is just so much better than everything else powered up to level 40. But don't worry, I did include some honorable mentions here. So in terms of the Pokemon that kind of come close to Reshiram at level 30, even at level 40, you're going to have Darmanitan with Fire Fang and Overheat, Entei with Fire Fang and Overheat, and then Moltres with Fire Spin and Overheat. So Darmanitan is the only one of those three that is going to be a non-legendary, and this Pokemon actually comes into rotation quite often. So that is where we're going to stop in terms of the Fire-type Pokemon. You do have other options available for you, but we're going to spend more time talking about those in my budget list video. Moving on over to our next category, we're going to talk about Grass-type Pokemon next, and the first one that we're going to cover is going to be Mega Venusaur with Vine Whip and Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is an exclusive Calm Day moveset, so you will have to use an Elite Charge TM to get this moveset. So here's the thing about Mega Venusaur that I do want to warn you guys about. At some point in time, maybe even during 2022, we are going to eventually get Mega Sceptile, which is going to be much better than Mega Venusaur. So if you're thinking about using Elite Charge TM on the Mega Venusaur, unless you have like a bunch, I wouldn't recommend doing it right now. Be patient because Mega Sceptile might actually get released during this year. Following Mega Venusaur though, the next Pokemon we're going to have is going to be Zarude with Vine Whip and Power Whip. No exclusive movesets there, but you can only get one of this Pokemon. This is definitely miles above everything else though, guys. Like, even if you got like the worst IV spread possible on Zarude, this is definitely going to be the like #1 grass type Pokemon I recommend investing into outside of Mega Venusaur. It is just so freaking good. Now, that being said though, some of your options for the grass type category are going to be better utilized as shadow investments, which we're going to talk about in a separate video. But outside of those shadow investments, your next two best options are going to be Roserade with Razor Leaf and Grass Knot, and then Tangrowth with a Vine Whip and Power Whip. Those are basically really similar in terms of their DPS times TDO, and you really can't go wrong with either of those options. And then when it comes into the honorable mention Pokemon for the grass type category, we do have 3 Pokemon, all with exclusive movesets unfortunately, but they do rank really close to each other. and that is going to be Venusaur, Torterra, and Sceptile, all with Frenzy Plant as their moveset. Once again, for Venusaur, it's going to be Vine Whip plus Frenzy Plant, then for Torterra, it's going to be Razor Leaf plus Frenzy Plant, and then for Sceptile, it is going to be Bullet Seed plus Frenzy Plant. Next category is going to be Water-type Pokemon. Who saw that coming, right? So Mega Blastoise is going to be your #1 focus here with Water Gun and Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to be an exclusive Calm Day moveset, so once again, Elite Charge TM is going to be required. I wouldn't be super quick to jump and use it though, because you also have Mega Gyarados available as well with Waterfall and Hydro Pump. No exclusive movesets there, and it's honestly not that far off in terms of Mega Blastoise's DPS times TDO. I mean, Mega Blastoise is definitely king here, but if you don't have Hydro Cannon, then Mega Gyarados is still a really solid option. Now, in terms of your overall attackers, Kyogre is going to reign supreme here with Waterfall and Surf. This is one of the best Pokemon to invest into. Even at level 30, guys, like, it is honestly super close to where a Swampert and Kingler would be at level 40, which would be your next best options. So Swampert and Kingler are definitely good choices here if you want to invest into other water-type Pokemon, but Kyogre, without a doubt, is going to be your best investment by far. Now, in terms of honorable mentions, we're going to go through a few Pokemon here. They're all going to be Community Day Pokemon, so they will require the exclusive Calm Day moveset Hydro Cannon, which if you don't already have, I wouldn't recommend using Elite Charge TM on these Pokemon specifically. But just to list them off, they're going to be Feraligatr with Water Gun and Hydro Cannon, Samurott with Waterfall and Hydro Cannon, and then Empoleon with Waterfall and Hydro Cannon. So in that order, those are going to go from best to worst, and Empoleon being the worst out of those three, but you know, really at the end of the day, if you have the Swampert or the Kingler, I would go with those options over those three instead. So following the water-type Pokemon, let's talk about electric-type Pokemon next. We have a few options here, 2 Megas and then 2 normal legendary Pokemon. So your best option in this category is going to be Mega Manectric with Thunder Fang and Wild Charge. This is definitely a lot better than Mega Ampharos, which is going to be the next best Mega option, but it's like 1,000 points lower in terms of DPS times TDO. So if you have a good IV spread for Manectric and you have the Mega Energy available, this is going to be easily your best option for your first slot in terms of your team of 6. Now following that, the next Pokemon in line is going to be Zekrom with Charge Beam and Wild Charge. Zekrom actually has better DPS times TDO than Mega Ampharos, so unless you're using Mega Ampharos just for that additional boost for the other Pokemon in the raid lobby, I mean, it isn't really all that worth it. I would still just go with the Zekrom over everything else. Like, Zekrom reigns supreme here. It is so much better than every other option that you guys have outside of Thundurus Therian form. That's going to be your next best option, but that is going to be 700 points lower than Zekrom. So the best moveset for Thundurus in its Therian form is going to be Volt Switch and Thunderbolt. If this actually had like Thunder Shock or something, that might actually ramp it up much more, but unfortunately it doesn't. Either way though, Zekrom or Thundurus in its Therian form, you can't go too wrong with either of these options. Raikou definitely reigns supreme for quite a while in this meta, but unfortunately these two Pokemon have kind of outclassed Raikou, so kind of a rip there, but it does make the honorable mention list. So Raikou with Thunder Shock and Wild Charge is going to be your next best option, although that is about 350 points lower than Thundurus Therian form. You also have Zapdos available with Thunder Shock, which is an exclusive Raid Day moveset, so you are going to need an Elite Fast TM to get Thunder Shock on Zapdos. I wouldn't recommend doing it on a regular Zapdos. I would save that for a Shadow Zapdos instead, if you do want to do it that way. And then finally, your other option is going to be Electivire with Thunder Shock and Wild Charge. Electivire and Zapdos actually have the same ranking in terms of DPS times TDO, so really when it comes down to it, Electivire is much more accessible than Zapdos with Thunder Shock because it's a legacy moveset, so I would just go with that option instead, if you guys want to go with the honorable mention power-ups. With that being said though, I do want to also mention that some of your options in terms of the Shadow category for the electric type Pokemon are actually much better than Zekrom, so maybe hold off for a little bit, but they are going to cost a lot more Stardust, so it's really up to you. During the past few years, a lot of you guys have honestly roasted me for not including Poison-type Pokemon in these videos, so this year I made sure to include Poison-type Pokemon, even though they don't have the biggest relevance in the raid/gym meta. I did it for you guys because I know I'm just going to get comments if I don't do it, so the best Poison-type Pokemon is going to be Mega Beedrill with Poison Jab and Sludge Bomb, and then following that is going to be Roserade with Poison Jab and Sludge Bomb as well. But once again, guys, you're not going to use poison types that often. If you do, though, Roserade is going to be your go-to, without a doubt. So with poison-type Pokemon out of the way, let's talk about flying-type Pokemon now, and we definitely have a lot of great options in terms of the Shadow category, but we're not going to talk about in this video. The first Pokemon that we are going to talk about in this video, though, is going to be Mega Pidgeot with Gust and Brave Bird. Gust is going to be a legacy moveset, I believe from 2016, so you will have to use an Elite Fast TM to get this. But this is one that I really do recommend getting. I actually invested into this, and I gotta tell you guys, without a doubt, it was so worth it. So basically you get functionality in raid battles, gym battles, and PvP. it's pretty good. Like, I mean, seriously, it is one of the best investments that I do recommend going for. Following that, you do have Moltres with Wing Attack and Sky Attack. Sky Attack is going to be a legacy moveset from Raid Day. So even though Moltres does have that legacy moveset, even if you get one with really bad IVs, it's probably better to invest into it opposed to some of your other options because they're not as good. Like, the next best option is going to be Ho-Oh with Hidden Power and Brave Bird. So here's the thing with Ho-Oh. Hidden Power is randomized, so you don't know like which type of Hidden Power you're going to get, and you can't reroll it. So if you get lucky and you somehow manage to get Flying Hidden Power on Ho-Oh, then that's a decent option, but still Moltres with Sky Attack is going to be like 500 points higher than Ho-Oh with Hidden Power. So when it comes down to it, I mean, like, it's there, but it's not really that accessible, so I included it just for that reason. But outside of that, your next best options are going to be Rayquaza with Air Slash and Hurricane. Hurricane also a legacy moveset. Aerial Ace is going to be an accessible moveset. It's not too much worse compared to Hurricane, so you do have that option as well if you want to go with the Rayquaza. But finally, we also have Yveltal with Gust and Hurricane. No legacy movesets, kind of thank God, right? Because everything else has like a legacy moveset here. Yveltal is the only one without legacy movesets that you guys can go for. This one is a bit better than Rayquaza with Aerial Ace, so I would focus it on Yveltal in terms of a flying type attacker if you can't get Moltres or Rayquaza with Hurricane. Moving on from the flying type Pokemon though, we have our ghost type Pokemon next, and the number one option, like without a doubt, so freaking amazing, is going to be Mega Gengar with Lick and Shadow Ball. You could also go with Shadow Claw. There's really not that much of a difference. You're looking at maybe like 100-point difference, maybe even less than that. Now following that, we are going to have Giratina Origin Form next, not to get it confused with the Altered Form. The Origin one is the one that flies. The Altered one is the one that's on like all 8 legs or whatever. So the ideal moveset here is going to be Shadow Claw plus Shadow Ball. And yeah, this is going to be your go-to. Giratina Origin Form, definitely one of the best options in terms of ghost type Pokemon. Following that, we do have Chandelure as well. It's going to be about 300 points lower than Giratina Origin Form. It's kind of a nice pick as well. Like, I definitely do recommend trying to get a few of these guys. Chandelure with Hex and Shadow Ball is going to be your go-to. And then in honorable mentions, I guess we do have Gengar. It's not like so much worse that I would really say it's an honorable mention, but it's definitely there, right? Gengar and Hoopa Confined are going to be your next best options here. Those are pretty much the same. So Hoopa Confined is the one that is not like the super bulky one, it's the really small one. Hoopa Unbound is the really big one. We're going to talk about that later. But Hoopa Unfind with Astonish and Shadow Ball is going to be your go-to, and then once again for Gengar, Lick and Shadow Ball is going to be the preferred moveset, but Shadow Claw is just as good. So our Ghost type section is definitely a bit smaller than our Dark type section. We have a lot of Dark type Pokemon to go through right now. So we talked about Mega Houndoom earlier in the Fire type category. We're going to talk about it again right now in the Dark type category. This is going to be your best Dark type Pokemon in the game, especially in terms of Megas. You're going to need it with Snarl and Foul Play, and then you also have Mega Gyarados available as well, so you kind of have some dual functionality with both of these Mega Pokemon, so you can go either a Fire-type Pokemon or a Dark-type Pokemon with Mega Houndoom. With Mega Gyarados, you can go either a Water-type Pokemon or a Dark-type Pokemon. For Mega Gyarados, you want to have Bite and Crunch. It actually gets Stab bonus during its Mega Evolution only, not during its non-Mega form, so that's actually kind of cool for it. Once again, Mega Gyarados, pretty accessible, Mega Houndoom, pretty accessible, should be easy to get. You also have Mega Absol, which to be honest, I didn't include in this list, mainly just because the other two Megas are just so much better. So Mega Houndoom has a DPS times TDO at level 40 of 3,557, and then Mega Gyarados is 3,162. Mega Absol is 2,367, which is so much lower than both of those two. So really when it comes down to it, you actually have better shadow options out there than even a Mega Absol. So Mega Absol's cool like if you just want to have it, but really in terms of meta relevance, I wouldn't recommend it so much. Following that, your best non-Mega is going to be Darkrai with Snarl and Dark Pulse. This is without a doubt going to be your best Dark-type Pokemon to go for in the game. It usually comes around into rotation during Halloween. This is a mythical Pokemon, so you can't actually trade this Pokemon. You're going to have to catch it for good IVs. This is definitely a Pokemon that I do recommend very heavily to raid when it does come into rotation. So if you ever see Darkrai in rotation, raid it. Like, do yourself a favor and raid it, because it is absolutely worth it. Now, if you don't have Darkrai though, we did actually get Yveltal released into the game during 2021. This is also going to be pretty good as well. It's about like 350 points lower than Darkrai, so Darkrai is still like much better, but Yveltal is definitely a solid option as well if you guys want to focus in on that. It is also going to have the moveset Snarl plus Dark Pulse. And then in terms of honorable mentions, I honestly had to include this because so many of you guys beat me up about not including Tyranitar last year. So in honorable mentions, we have Hydreigon with Bite and Dark Pulse. We have Tyranitar with Bite and Crunch, and then we finally have Weavile with Snarl plus Foul Play. I kid you not, like, I got so many comments last year just saying, like, why don't you include Tyranitar? Tyranitar is so good. Like, guys, Tyranitar used to be really good. It's still a solid option, but you just have better options out there these days. Of course, the argument is also that Tyranitar is going to get a Mega Evolution in the future, so when that eventually comes out, Tyranitar in its Mega form is most likely going to take the #1 spot above Mega Houndoom. At which that point, I will definitely update my list, but as of right now, guys, Tyranitar is in the honorable mention category. Our next category is going to be very short because Mewtwo just reigns supreme in this category. We are going to talk about Psychic-type Pokemon. Mewtwo with Confusion plus Psystrike. Psystrike is going to be a legacy moveset, so you're going to have to use an Elite Charge TM, although highly recommend it. That is going to be the best Pokemon in this category by, like, so much. I mean, like, seriously, so much. We're talking about, like, thousands of points above everything else. Except for Hoopa Unbound, because Hoopa Unbound with Confusion plus Psychic is actually okay. It's not bad, it's definitely viable. So basically when we look at it, Mewtwo with Confusion plus Psystrike is going to be really close to 6,000 DPS times TDO points. Mewtwo with Psychic instead of Psystrike is going to be 4,500, and then Hoopa Unbound is going to be 4,200 with Confusion and Psychic as well. So when it comes down to it, even if you trade a Mewtwo that has Psystrike with like the worst IVs possible, we could literally say it has 0 IVs. It is going to be better than everything else. Once again, Mewtwo reigns supreme in this category. Nothing even comes close to this Pokemon. The next category that we're going to talk about is going to be the Bug-type category. So Mega Beedrill once again taking the #1 spot in both the Poison-type category as well as the Bug-type category. Honestly, these typings don't get utilized too often in the Raid/Gym meta, but I did want to include both of them as well because you guys would just get on me about that. So, Mega Beedrill with Bug Bite and X-Scissor is going to be the best Pokemon to use in this category. Outside of the Megas though, what are your options here? So, you don't have too many options. Like, your Shadow options are actually decent, so I'm not going to go over some of these too much, but really when it comes down to it, Genesect with Fury Cutter and X-Scissor is going to be the next best option and kind of your only option in terms of non-Shadows. Like, honorable mentions, I included Pinsir, Escavalier, and Scizor. They're good, but your Shadow versions are actually going to be better at level 30 compared to these Pokemon at level 40. Not to mention an unreleased Pokemon called Volcarona is most likely going to release during 2022. Like, I would honestly bet money on it, and that Pokemon is going to be better than Genesect by about like 300 to 400 points. So yeah, that's going to be the best Bug-type attacker outside of Mega Beedrill, and I would honestly just hold off on investing into any Bug-type Pokemon until that Pokemon gets released. So with the Bug-types out of the way, let's talk about the Fighting-type category next. Honestly, not much has changed in this meta. We do have an additional Shadow Pokemon. Shadow Hariyama was added into the game this past year, so that does rank above Lucario, which is going to be your #1 option outside of the Shadow Pokemon, and we don't have any Megas outside of Mega Lopunny, which Lucario is going to get a Mega form in the future. Machamp is also going to get a Mega form in the future. I'm excited about those two. Those are definitely going to be good. But as of right now, it's pretty much going to be the same as it was last year, guys. Lucario with Counter and Aura Spear is going to be your #1 best option. This is a Pokemon that is actually kind of hard to get. You can only get Riolu from hatching eggs. Honestly, in my opinion, Lucario isn't the most accessible Pokemon, and then even the second best Pokemon, Conkeldurr with Counter and Dynamic Punch, is a raid exclusive Pokemon, so it evolves from Timber, and yeah, this Pokemon, again, it's top of the meta in Fighting type category, but it's just a little bit more on the inaccessible side. It's behind a paywall, I guess you could say. Same with Lucario. So both of the top Pokemon in the Fighting type category behind a paywall. Now we just recently talked about this as well. We are going to have one Mega Pokemon available in this category. That is going to be Mega Lopunny with Low Kick and Focus Blast. Lucario and Conkeldurr both outclass this Pokemon, so when it comes down to it, I would just say if you want to have the best of the best, go for those two, or actually just wait until we talk about the Shadow Pokemon in the next video, because those actually have much better stats than these two, and they're more accessible, so yeah, there's that. Honorable mention though, Machamp with Counter and Dynamic Punch. This is about 600 points lower though than Lucario. So keep that in mind. Like, Lucario is that much better than Machamp at this point, and if you had the option to go for 6 of anything, Lucario without a doubt. I mean, even a combination of Lucario, Mega Lopunny, and Conkeldurr would just be so much more solid, but Machamp is more accessible, so we'll spend some time talking about this in my budget video. So not much has changed in terms of the Fighting type category, but we do have some changes in the Rock type category, so let's talk about that. So we have Mega Aerodactyl coming into rotation very soon. Rock Throw and Rock Slide is going to be the ideal moveset for it. And this is going to be a beast. Oh my god. Yeah, Mega Aerodactyl, man, I'm excited about this one. I have a shiny 98% IV with 15 attack. I am so pumped about that. Following that, we do have Rhyperior with Smackdown and Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker is going to be an exclusive Calm Day moveset. This is going to be your go-to. Like, if you can get these, then this is going to be your go-to. This is actually one of the best Pokemon to invest into in the Rock-type category. Rampardos with Smackdown and Rock Slide is going to be your next best option. No exclusive movesets there, so it's really not that bad. Like, honestly, it's about like 100 points lower than Rhyperior with Smackdown and Rock Wrecker, so it's a good option. But outside of that, guys, like, your next best option is Terrakion with Smackdown and Rock Slide, and I didn't realize this, but it is actually kind of outclassed compared to Rhyperior. After running the stats, honestly, Terrakion isn't as good as I used to think it was. Smackdown and Rock Slide is going to be the best moveset for it, but this is more in the honorable mention category. Like, it's not a bad Pokemon, it's definitely worthy of getting powered up, but if you have the option to go for Rhyperior and Rampardos instead of Terrakion, I would definitely go with those two, plus Mega Aerodactyl. Ground-type Pokemon are going to be coming up next. We actually had quite a few meta changes in this category from the last year, so let's talk about that. So Garchomp with Mud Shot and Earth Power. Earth Power is a Legacy Calm Day moveset. That is going to be the best Pokemon here. It is without a doubt number one, and it is going to get a Mega Form in the future, so that is pretty exciting as well. Following that, you do have Landorus in its Therian form, though this isn't actually that much worse compared to Garchomp, and it doesn't require any Legacy movesets, so that's kind of nice. Mudshot and Earthquake is going to be the preferred moveset. And then finally, you have Groudon with Mudshot and Earthquake. Once again, pretty solid. Like, the Ground-type Pokemon don't have that much of a difference in terms of their DPS times TDO, so all of them are pretty good for the most part. So you really can't go wrong with any of those three. Like, those are really solid options for you. And then in terms of the honorable mentions, we have Rhyperior with Mud Slap and Earthquake, Landorus in its Incarnate form with Mudshot and Earth Power. So Incarnate is the one that doesn't have the legs, if that makes sense. And then finally, your last option is going to be Excadrill with Mud Slap and Drill Run. Excadrill is the worst Pokemon on this list in terms of just honorable mentions. Rhyperior and Landorus are going to be much better in terms of DPS times TDO, but Excadrill does have really solid DPS. Taking a look at our Ice-type Pokemon next, we do have a few good options here. Most of them haven't really changed that much from the previous year though, but Galarian Darmanitan, much more accessible now than it was the last time we talked about this Pokemon. Ice Fang plus Avalanche is going to be the ideal moveset here for that Pokemon. Following that, Mamoswine is going to be the next best option. Pretty accessible Pokemon for the most part. We definitely had quite a few events this past year where Swinub was pretty accessible, so Powder Snow plus Avalanche on Mamoswine is going to be the go-to moveset. And then your last option is going to be Mega Abomasnow, which, I mean, it's a good option, but you do have better options out there. Just for the Mega Boost alone, it's actually pretty solid. The cool thing about Abomasnow, though, and we talked about this with Pidgeot, is that you're going to have functionality in the Ultra League as well with the Hundo, right below 2500 CP on this Pokemon, so you can use it as a Mega plus a really good Pokemon in the Ultra League, and it's kind of the best of both worlds here. So the ideal moveset for Mega Abomasnow is going to be Powder Snow plus Weather Ball, and that doesn't change either for the Ultra League as well, so that's kind of nice. And then in terms of the honorable mention section, these Pokemon have definitely lost their relevance in terms of the top of the meta. They're about 400 to 500 points lower than their best options here. Those are going to be Glaceon with Frost Breath and Avalanche, and Weavile with Ice Shard and Avalanche. They're good options. They're definitely a little bit more on the budget-friendly side, but Galarian Darmanitan and Mamoswine reign supreme, and you also have Shadow options that are going to be significantly better. I can't wait until we talk about Shadow Mamoswine in my Shadow video. Oh my god, that thing is a beast. The next category that we're going to talk about is going to be a very small one as well. That is going to be the Steel type category, so Metagross is going to reign supreme in this category, very similar to how Mewtwo reigns supreme in the Psychic type category. Bullet Punch plus Meteor Mash is going to be the go-to moveset. Meteor Mash is going to be an exclusive Calm Day moveset, so an Elite Charge TM is going to be required. Metagross with Meteor Mash is honestly miles above everything else, very similar to Mewtwo. Your next best option outside of Metagross is going to be Dialga with Metal Claw and Iron Head, which is honestly 1400 points lower than Metagross with Meteor Mash. It is a massive difference, guys. Like, that Elite Charge TM goes a really, really long way. So we have two more categories to go over right now. The next one is going to be the Fairy type category. Your number one best option is going to be Togekiss with Charm and Dazzling Gleam. Your next best option is going to be Gardevoir with Charm and Dazzling Gleam as well. Both of these, in my opinion, are really solid. Like, Togekiss is a bit better, but if you get either or, you can't go too wrong. Honorable mentions in terms of Fairy type Pokemon will be Sylveon and Granbull. Those are both pretty solid. So moving on over to our last category, we are going to have the Dragon type Pokemon. This is definitely a tough category because we have so many available Dragon types in the game. We have so many pseudo legendaries. It's definitely difficult to, figure out which ones are going to be the best. but I've done so don't worry about it. So in terms of the best dragon, non-shadow, non-mega, we don't actually have any megas currently, but when we do, oh my god, that's gonna be crazy. Anyways though, the best non-mega, non-shadow is going to be Rayquaza with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Next up, you're going to have Palkia with Dragon Tail and Draco Meteor, followed by Salamence with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Outrage is going to be an exclusive Comday moveset, so you will have to use an Elite Charge TM. Following that, we're going to have Garchomp with Dragon Tail and Outrage, and then our last Pokemon that makes the cut is going to be Zekrom with Dragon Breath and Outrage. So all these Pokemon are really solid. Like, Zekrom is the worst one out of these 5 and Rayquaza is the best, but really you can't go wrong with any of these 5 Pokemon in terms of the Dragon type category. And then in terms of honorable mentions, we have Dialga with Dragon Breath and Draco Meteor, Reshiram with Dragon Breath and Draco Meteor, and then finally, because I know it would get so much hate if I didn't include this Pokemon, we have Dragonite with Dragon Tail and Outrage. But Dragonite is definitely a good option here. So basically my recommendation when it comes down to these Dragon type Pokemon is that I would focus on getting like one of each instead of like 6 Rayquaza, for example. Even though Rayquaza has the best DPS non-shadow, I mean, it's probably going to be more fun to go for like one of each and have like a team of 6 different dragons and, you know, like one team of like 6 of the same dragon. I just think it's more fun that way, and I'm sure some of you guys can agree with me. But, you know, at the end of the day, do whatever you guys want. If you want to go for DPS monsters, wait until I talk about the Shadow Dragons, because my god, Shadow Salamence and Shadow Dragonite are beasts. But we'll spend some more time talking about that in the other video. Anyways, I think that is everything for this one. We talked about every single category. Once again, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments section down below. And if you want to check out some more videos, just go over the best Pokemon to power up in game, or just, you know, a bunch of really good tips and tricks for your overall playthrough, check out these videos right here. And before you go, please make sure to smash that like button down below. I worked so hard on this video. Subscribe if you want to get notified for upcoming videos, and I will see you all real soon in the next one.